Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to dive into a technology that tackles one of the biggest headaches in AI, the fact that they have, well, a terrible memory. And we're going to use Docker's fantastic documentation on their Gantt cagent tool as our guide to really understand Retrieval-Augmented Generation, or as you'll hear it called, RAG. Okay, so let's just get right to the heart of the problem that RAG is built to solve. Imagine you have this awesome AI coding assistant. You want it to understand your entire project, right? The whole shebang. But there's this fundamental limit that just gets in the way. So where does this problem even start? Well, it all comes down to this thing called the context window. The easiest way to think about this is like an AI's short-term memory. It's the little scratch pad it uses to hold on to information while you're talking to it. And this window, this is the only space you have to give the AI the files, the code, and the instructions it needs to do its job. And you'd think with these giant, powerful new models, that window would be massive, right? Well, as we're about to see, it's actually surprisingly small. And this, right here, shows you the problem perfectly. It's a total mismatch. Trying to cram your entire project into that context window is like trying to write an encyclopedia on a single sticky note. It's never going to work. The AI can't see the whole picture, so it's left guessing which files are even important. Okay, so your first thought might be, hey, why don't we just use the search tools we already have, like grep, to help the AI find what it needs? And that's a fair question, but here's the thing. They just don't think the way an AI needs to think. Think about it this way. Old school tools are like a librarian who can only find a book if you give them the exact title, down to the last letter. You ask for authentication, but the file uses the word login, tough luck. An AI needs a librarian who's read every single book and actually understands the topic you're interested in, not just the specific words you use. And that is exactly where Retrieval-Augmented Generation comes into the picture. It's like giving your AI its very own super-powered genius librarian, one with a perfect long-term memory. So how does it work? Well, it's a pretty straightforward but really powerful three-step dance. First, way ahead of time, it reads everything and builds a knowledge base, an index. Then, when your AI has a question, it searches that index based on meaning, not just words. And finally, the magic step. It only grabs the most relevant little pieces and feeds those to the AI. That way, you're not wasting a single drop of that precious context window on junk. Now, here's where it gets really cool. RAG isn't just one thing. It's not a one-size-fits-all deal. It actually comes in different flavors, if you will, different search strategies that are optimized for different kinds of problems. This table breaks down the three core strategies. You've got your semantic search for concepts, you've got keyword search for those super specific terms, and then you have this really powerful one, LLM enhanced search, which is all about what your code actually does. Let's quickly break them down. Okay, first up, semantic search. This is your concept hunter. It's amazing for when you know what you're looking for, but you don't know the exact words. You could ask, how do I sign users in? And it's smart enough to find documents that talk about authentication or auth tokens, even if you never said those words. Then you've got keyword search. This is your exact matcher. Think of it as grep on steroids. You need to find a specific function name, an API endpoint, or an exact error code. This is your tool. No fluff, no interpretation, just pure, precise, literal matching. And last but definitely not least, we have LLM-enhanced search. This is the code whisperer, and honestly, it's the real game changer here. It uses a language model to first write a summary of what a piece of code does, and then it indexes that summary. This means you can find code based on its behavior. You could search for exponential back-off retry logic and find a function, even if those words are nowhere in the code itself. It's incredible. So you've got these three awesome tools. And the obvious next question is, which one do you pick? Well, the best part is, you don't have to. The real magic happens when you put them all together. This is called hybrid fusion, and it's brilliant. It runs both semantic and keyword searches at the same time and then uses this really clever system called reciprocal rank fusion to merge the results. Basically, instead of looking at some arbitrary score, it just looks at how high up each result was on its own list. This gives you a single, beautiful, deduplicated list with the best of both worlds, the conceptual hits and the exact matches. And if you need to be even more precise, there's another layer you can add, re-ranking. The idea is simple. First, you do a fast, broad search to get a bunch of potential candidates. Then you bring in the big guns, a smarter, maybe more expensive model, to take a second look.
It reevaluates those initial results and reorders them based on rules you set, like, hey, always put the official documentation at the top. It's an extra step, for sure, but the quality you get is just top-notch.
Okay, so we've seen how powerful all this is, which brings us to the final, really practical question. Is RAG actually right for you and your project? Because believe it or not, it's not always the answer. And this slide is really the key takeaway. RAG is your go-to when your knowledge base is just too big, when it's complex, and especially when it's changing all the time. But if your content is small enough to just stuff into the prompt, or if it almost never changes, you know what? Simpler might be better. Good old prompt engineering could be all you need. So what does this all mean? By cracking that context window problem, REG gives your AI something it's never had before, a perfect, long-term, instantly searchable memory. It completely changes the game for what's possible in building agents that can reason over huge amounts of information. So I'll leave you with this thought to ponder. Now that your AI can remember everything, what are you going to build?